So what's up with the necromancer of En-Dor in 1 Samuel 28? Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion, and you're probably used to hearing this individual referred to as the witch of En-Dor, but the Hebrew words for witch or sorceress are never used in reference to this figure. She's always referred to as an Eshet Balat Ov, which is literally a woman who is a mistress of ghosts or a ghost diviner. So she's a medium or a necromancer, and that's an accurate term for what she's doing here. She doesn't engage in witchcraft or sorcery at all. She's just a medium. Now, in 1 Samuel 28, Saul is being threatened by the Philistines. He needs to know from some kind of divine being if he should go up to battle, if he is going to be given victory. But Adonai, the God of Israel, has turned their back on him and is not giving responses through the normal media. So he needs to visit a necromancer, and his men tell him there's a necromancer in En-Dor. So he goes in disguise with two of his men to the necromancer, who says, hey, this has been outlawed by King Saul. I could get in a lot of trouble for this. And Saul, in disguise still, says, as Adonai lives, you won't be punished for this. And he just wants her to bring up the person he names. And he names Samuel. And when the necromancer sees Samuel, somehow this tips her off that this person in disguise is Saul. And she freaks out. But he assures her that she is not going to get in trouble. He just wants to know what she has seen. And she says, I see Elohim Olim. And this is the word for God, but the participle describing the Elohim rising up is in the plural. And this may just be because Elohim is grammatically plural, and there is some harmonization going on with the sound, because Saul's response is not to say, what do they look like? His response is to say, what does he look like? And the necromancer mentions Samuel. And so this is a pretty clear identification of deceased folks, particularly prominent deceased folks, as Elohim, as gods, which fits with the broader ancient Southwest Asian cultural milieu, where ancestors were treated as deities and were worshipped. And this worship was going on in ancient Israel as well. So anyway, Saul says, hey, Samuel, I need your help. I need to know if I should go up to battle against the Philistines. And Samuel says, you didn't destroy Amalek. Adonai has rejected you. Your kingdom is going to go to David, and you're going to be with me tomorrow, because he's going to go up to battle and he's going to be killed. And that's exactly what happens. So this is a fascinating story where Saul is given God's message through the deceased Samuel, the deceased prophet, by way of a medium who successfully brings up the deceased Samuel, who is a divine being, a god at that point. And so this is another indication that magic, necromancy, consulting the dead, all were thought to be actual, real practices anciently that worked, but were outlawed in different times and different places, not because there was anything innately or inherently evil about them, but because they were not sanctioned, because they were either using the wrong kind of media, they were using the wrong kind of facilitator, or they were trying to access the wrong divine agent. And in this case, they're trying to access the right divine agent, but through an unsanctioned facilitator, namely a necromancer, which had been outlawed. If you'd like to learn more about the necromancer of En-Dor, Esther Hamori published a wonderful book entitled Women's Divination in Biblical Literature that has an entire chapter on the necromancer of En-Dor. And back in January on the Data Over Dogma podcast, we did a segment on the necromancer of En-Dor, and then the next segment was our interview with Joel McHale. So that's entitled the Joel McHale episode. And on this week's episode of Data Over Dogma, we're talking about magic in the Bible, and specifically apotropaic magic, but we also talk a little bit about divination and necromancy. And the fit for this video has been Todd McFarlane's Amazing Spider-Man.